The next concept I'm going to teach is 3000 realms in a single moment of life. This is the one concept which, first of all, it's my favorite concept. Out of all the concept, is the one concept I really love. And it took me almost, hours and hours, I would say. And I read this concept at least multiple times from multiple books to understand the true, to understand this concept truly, right? And once I understood this concept truly, then you will never be same person. Then you will start understanding everything which is happening around you from the realm of 3000 realms in a single moment of life. Once you understand this concept, your perspective towards life, your perspective towards anything, in the life will change completely. So I can assure you that this is one of the finest concept, finest distillation of multiple concept is. And I will make sure that by end of this concept, by end of this video, you will be able to not just understand this concept but able to teach others also this concept. So let's go through it and be with me throughout this video, and I'm sure it will be completely worthy for you. So what exactly 3000 realms in a single moment of life? This is a Buddhist concept. If you look at the other videos till now, in the earlier videos, we talked from the Lotus Sutra perspective. This is the concept which is a Buddhist concept, which is something which Nichiren Daishonin used, and we also use on a day-to-day basis to manifest or to start getting a lot of benefits from our chanting of Namyo Renge Kyo, right? So first of all, 3000 realms in a single moment of life is one of the Buddhist principal teaching. And what exactly it teaches us? It teaches that all phenomena are encompassed in the universe in this 3000 number. So whatever happening around you, whatever happens around you or going to happen in the entire universe, that is governed by 3000 realms, right? We will come to the number. And this is the concept which was first properly formulated by great teacher Tiantai of China. And this is a concept which was used by Nichiren Daishonin when he inscribed the Gohonzon. So look at the enormity of this concept. That this is a concept which Nichiren Daishonin also used for inscribing the Gohonzon. Tiantai was a great teacher who first conceptually basis पर उन्होंने इसको formulate किया था, but यहाँ पर क्या था, ये theoretical basis पे था ये. What Nichiren Daishonin did was he not just understood the concept और उसको उन्होंने गोहनजॉन की फॉर्म में embody भी कर दिया और उसको इस तरीके से बना दिया concept को that anyone and everyone can practice this concept of 3000 realms in a single moment of life. Okay. Now, what exactly it says? It says a single moment of life. So if you think from the timeline point of view, every life is consist of time period, and every time is nothing but a moment. From one moment to another, our life changes, right? So what 3000 realms in a single moment concept says that first of all, let's understand single moment. Single moment is nothing but a fleeting time, a time which is just passing by, right? That is it termed as a single moment of life. Okay, so single moment of life basically means what? It means the fleeting instance, right? That fleeting instant that is going as we are talking is the one moment of life. And 3000 realms is basically the type of possibilities, the kind of possible states, the kind of possibility that movement has. So each movement that is going from one to another, every movement has enormous potential. And what that potential is, that movement has a potential or the possibility of manifesting any of the 3000 realms. Realms is nothing but if we go technically, so basically realms is basically a possibility. So if we can also say 3,000 realms in a single moment of life is nothing but 3,000 possibilities in a single moment of life. So from one moment of life to another, as we move, every life, every living being life, no matter whether they are in a form of a human or in the form of animal, every living being has a possibility that they can manifest any of the 3,000 possibilities which exist in every moment, right? This is the crux. This is a teaching of hope, this is a teaching of transformation, because we are understanding that every moment I have the possibility that I can manifest any of the 3,000 possible state. That basically means I am giving you a lot of hope that hey, no matter what you are, from next moment you can definitely go to good life state, or you can manifest something which is a better transformation, right? And the other concept is, when there is a life, there is this concept. So that's why I'm saying, irrespective of the kind of life it is, this is the concept which gets applicable in all the life. One of the quote by Sensei, which I really like, is a great human revolution in just a single individual will help achieve a change in the destiny of a nation, and further will enable a change in the destiny of all humankind. That is what the meaning of 3,000 realm in a single moment of life. If if as a single person you take a challenge that hey, I'm going to make a change, that is the possibility you are focusing on, then that possibility will not just result in your change, but it can change the nation, and further it can change the entire world and humankind, right? This is a crux of single moment of life, or 3,000 realms in a single moment of life, right? Now let's understand some maths, what exactly this number of 3,000 comes from, and this is very beautiful, right? Now first concept is life state. We already know the concept of 10 worlds, right? We have already read through that concept of 10 worlds. In case you want to refresh, you want to understand the 10 worlds, I would suggest go back. One of the videos I have made talks about 10 worlds and mutual possession of 10 worlds in detail. In this video, I'll focus more on this concept of 10 factors of life, which people are generally not very much aware of. So what exactly 10 words is? 10 words is the kind of life state, right? So as human beings, or as any living being for that matter, what Buddhist concept is saying, that we can at any point of time we can manifest any of the 10 world or 10 life state which are quantified. Whether you are in the form of, you can be in the world of hell, you can be in the world of hunger, you can be in the world of anger, you can be in the world of animality, you can be in the world of humanity, you can be in the world of human beings, you can be in the world of learning, realization, bodhisattva, Buddhahood. So ultimately, out of the 10 worlds, at any moment you can be any of this particular life state. Agreed? Maybe आप अभी हेल में हैं, नेक्स्ट मोमेंट में हो सकता है आप हंगर में आ जाएं, या फिर आप एंगर में आ जाएं, या आप सीधा हो सकता है कि रैप्चर में चले जाएं. बच्चों के साथ बहुत होता है ये वाला. अगर कोई बच्चा रो रहा है, उसको तुम हल्का सा टिकलिंग कर दो या हल्का सा कुछ फनी कर दो, एकदम से वो बच्चा जो होगा हेल में होगा, सैडनेस में होगा, एकदम से हंसने लग जाता है, राइट? वी हैव सीन दैट मल्टीपल टाइम. मे बी वी आर वेरी हैप्पी, we have the potential to jump to hell in the next moment, depending on the external environment or depending on our realization, right? That is the concept of 10 worlds. Now what the concept of mutual possession of 10 worlds is saying, that every world also contains the other 9 worlds. That means what? That every world has a potential to from one moment to another we can move from one world to another. But how can we move from one world to another? We can only move from one world to another if the current world also contains the another 9 worlds, right? Otherwise मैं कैसे move करूँगा? It has to be कंटिन्यूटी, राइट, फ्रॉम वन मोमेंट टू अनदर. अगर मुझे एक वर्ल्ड से दूसरे वर्ल्ड में जाना है, इट कैन ओनली हैपन when that world also contain the other 9 worlds, right? So essentially it means what? Hell as a world also contain the other 10 worlds, 9 worlds, right? Or 10 worlds for that matter. Why 10 worlds? Because I am currently in hell. In the next moment I can be in hell and up to Buddhahood. Correct? Agreed? So there is a concept of 10 worlds, there is a concept of mutual possession of 10 worlds. So every world contains the other 9 worlds. So ultimately that's how we come up with 10 into 10, which is 100. Correct? Clear till now? So what we have talked, we have said we have a 10 worlds and we have mutual possession of 10 worlds, and that's how the number of 100 comes up. Now, what is 10 factors of life? So 10 factors of life, what this concept is saying, that any world we talked about, for example, if we talk about a world of hell, or if we talk about world of happiness, or world of rapture, or world of tranquility, multiple names for the same world, right? Every world has its own factors, right? What these factors are, we will talk about in detail, but ultimately every world, the way that world behaves, that behavior of that world is also quantified. Correct? So if I am in a world of a rapture, or if I am in a world of a hell, वो exactly उस world में मैं क्या करने वाला हूँ, right? वो भी एक तरीके से डिफाइंड है. वो जो डिफाइंड है, वो डिफाइन करने के लिए हमने क्या किया है, 10 फैक्टर्स को डिफाइन कर दिया है कि आप कोई भी वर्ल्ड में होंगे, उस वर्ल्ड के अंदर आप किस तरीके से बिहेव करोगे, वो बिहेव करने के चलते आप किस तरीके का कर्मा क्रिएट करोगे, कैसे कॉस्ट क्रिएट करोगे, उसके क्या इफेक्ट आएंगे, वो सारे फैक्टर्स को भी हमने क्वांटिफाई कर दिया है, राइट? एंड दैट क्वांटिफिकेशन ऑफ द फैक्टर इज कॉल्ड 10 फैक्टर्स ऑफ लाइफ. सो इसेंशियली आई नो कि 10 तरह के वर्ल्ड होते हैं, हर एक वर्ल्ड के अंदर बाकी 9 वर्ल्ड्स होते हैं, तो वो वर्ल्ड प्लस 9 वर्ल्ड कितने हो गए, 10 वर्ल्ड्स. तो दिस इज द 10 वर्ल्ड, दिस इज म्यूचुअल पोजेशन ऑफ 10 वर्ल्ड्स. एंड आई नो कि जो भी वर्ल्ड होगा, द वे दैट वर्ल्ड बिहेव्स इज थ्रू गवर्न बाय 10 फैक्टर्स ऑफ लाइफ. सो दैट्स हाउ द टोटल नंबर कम्स टू 1000. वी आर स्टिल, we need some 3 multiplier to get to 3000 realms in a single moment of life. We will talk about that 3 multiplier, but let's talk about this 10 factors of life in detail. Very important, very beautiful concept. Once you understand this concept, then you are not going back, right? So what exactly the 10 worlds are, or 10 factors of life are? So 10 factors of life are appearance, nature, entity, power, influence, internal cause, relation, latent effect, manifest effect, consistency from beginning to end. One thing is to memorize this concept. One thing is to understand this concept. I want you to really understand this concept in detail. Let's look at what these 10 factors of life talks about. Think of it. If I am talking about world of hell, right? How the world of hell would look like, correct? Every world, can you imagine a world of Buddhahood? Can you imagine a world of heaven? Can you imagine a world of hell? I'm sure you will be able to. Every world has its own appearance, correct? And everyone has its own nature. A world of hell would be very dark, would be very gloom. The world of hell would have a nature to bring sadness, right? World of hell would have a nature of bring depression. World of anger would have a nature of rage, right? So I'm sure you will be able to visualize that if you pick any of the world, any of the life state, you would be able to imagine a world, the kind of appearance that world would have, you would be able to imagine the kind of nature that world would have, right? This appearance and nature combined makes that particular entity. So think of it like that. If I combine that gloomy nature, gloomy appearance, and nature of bringing sadness, correct? That will make an entity of this integration of entity would be called as hell, right? Or if I say brightness and happiness, that will bring a entity of heaven, correct? So 10 factors of life basically talks about the factors which make that particular world, whether it's a world of hell, whether it's a world of hunger, anger, heaven. Every world has its own appearance, every world has its own nature. That appearance and nature makes that particular entity. Or the other way to look at it, appearance is something which you can see because it is appear by design, it means something you can see. Nature is something which you cannot see, which is something within. सो अगर किसी का हम बाहर से देख पा रहे हैं और किसी का अंदर से देख पा रहे हैं, दोनों क्लब कर दोगे तो वो क्या होगा, मैनिफेस्ट हो जाएगा इन द फॉर्म ऑफ एन एंटिटी, करेक्ट? नाउ every entity, every world will have its own power, agreed? That power can be negative or that power can be positive, correct? Whatever power that world has, that energy or that power will influence you or will also influence the environment, correct? So ultimately, if we are talk about a world of hell, that world of hell will have its own appearance, that world of hell will have its own nature, that appearance and nature, the outer and inner will make that particular entity, and that entity will have its own power. And when that power meets, when that power, what that power will do, that power will create an influence, correct? Whether it's a positive influence or negative influence, that will depend on that particular world. बॉस आप हेल में बैठे हो, हंगर वर्ल्ड में बैठे हो, तो ऑफ कोर्स आपका पावर हो सकता है नेगेटिव. तो नेगेटिव पावर से इन्फ्लुएंस कैसा आएगा, नेगेटिव. अगर इन्फ्लुएंस नेगेटिव आएगा तो वो इन्फ्लुएंस क्या क्रिएट करेगा, कॉज. हम कॉज कैसे क्रिएट करते हैं, वी क्रिएट कॉज थ्रू what we think, what we speak, and what action we do. If we are in a world of hell and we have this kind of appearance, nature, entity, and power and influence, we will definitely create that kind of a cause, right? And because cause and effect are related through a mystic law or through the law of cause and effect, ultimately that cause will result in a effect, right? Now that effect is something which is symbolized by the lotus as well, right? If you remember, when lotus bloom, correct? I'm sorry, my drawing is not that good, but as soon as the lotus bloom, it seeds as well, correct? That implies what? That implies that as soon as I make any cause through the relation of cause and effect, ultimately I'll also create create the proportionate effect. That effect is in the form of seed. That seed is something which is latent. Latent means which is hidden, which is not appeared, which is not visible, right? So then that internal cause will result in a latent effect. That seed is getting sowed. Now that seed will come up and sprout when the right condition manifests, right? That is a meaning of latent effect to manifest effect. So as soon as you have created the cause, the effect is recorded and registered at that point of time. That can be latent, it is not something which is visible, but over the period of time, when the right condition comes, then that will start manifesting in the life. And this concept, this is consistent. All these factors are consistent from beginning to end for a respective world. Got it? So think of it like that. Irrespective of the world, If the world is hell, the hell will have its own appearance, nature, entity, power, influence, cause, relation, manifest effect, and this will be consistent from beginning to end. It's not like that hell यहाँ पर तो कुछ और था, यहाँ पर आके कुछ और उसने कर दिया, या फिर ये इन्फ्लुएंस उसने नेगेटिव किया था बट मेरा कॉज पॉजिटिव हो गया. ऐसा नहीं होगा, ठीक है ना. और ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरा कॉज जो था वो तो नेगेटिव था बट मेरा इफेक्ट पॉजिटिव आ गया. नो, इट इज़ नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन, राइट. सो इट इज़ अ कैस्केडिंग इफेक्ट एंड इट इज़ कंसिस्टेंट. It's not something which will get disrupted in between anywhere. So that is a concept of 10 factors of life. So 10 factors of life is saying that let's assume I am Sumit. I am Sumit, have my own nature, I have my own appearance. Both combined makes me Sumit, whatever I am, whosoever I am in this flesh and blood and flesh, right? Now, depending on the world I am, if I am in the world of hell, then I'll manifest that world through the energy that world has, and that energy will get influence my environment, or I can get influenced by my environment also, vice versa, right? And depending on that, I'll create the causes which are inconsistent with that world, correct? And based on those causes, ultimately the effect will get registered. And when the right time comes, when the right condition appears, that effect will start getting manifested. That is a concept of 10 factors of life. I hope I am making some sense. I hope you are able to understand this concept. Again, I want to reiterate this concept through one example. Yeah. So what I have done, I have tried to list down the characteristics of each of the world. I am sure by doing so you will be able to understand it better. Sorry, I think if I do this you're not able to see the screen. Yeah, so we know the 10 factors of life are appearance, nature, entity. The appearance and the nature creates that entity. That entity has certain power. That power create an influence. That influence result in a cause. Through the relationship of cause and effect, we will have some latent effect. That latent effect will get manifested in the form of a manifest effect, and all the factors will be consistent from beginning to end for a particular life state, right? Now, what are the characteristics of a factor of appearance? It basically means the appearance in terms of what color it is, what form, shape and behavior it is. Nature basically, which is not I can see from outside, this is a quality within, right? Entity is nothing but integration. If I integrate the appearance, something the outer and inner, I'll create that particular entity, and that entity will create its own power, and that power will create the impact based on that energy, and that energy will create a cause in the form of a thought or a direct in form of what I am talking and what I am acting. And through the relationship of cause and effect, ultimately I'll create the effect which is not currently visible, but when the right life shows up or right condition shows up, I'll manifest, and all this will be same, consistent from beginning to end. Look at the world of hell. If I'm in a world of hell, the appearance would be dark, the nature of the world of hell would be suffering, the entity would become dark and suffering in nature, something highly gloomy, depression, you don't want to do anything, and that energy is negative. That negative energy will result in creating a negative influence in form of depression, influence in terms of sadness, and that sadness and depression is a time when you start talking, maybe not in a senses, you will talk, you may hurt someone, and ultimately you may do something, you may act based on that energy and based on that influence, and that will create the cause, and that cause will result in a latent effect through the relationship of law of cause and effect, and that effect will start manifesting when the right condition meets. And this is consistent. If it is dark, then it will be suffering. Dark and suffering will result in an entity which is dark and suffering only. It will not result in an entity which is bright. It's not like you have mixed two colors, then the third color came up. No, the third color is nothing but combination of both the characteristics, right? And it's not like that the power is negative, so the influence would be positive. No, it's consistent. That is a meaning of consistency, right? Now, if you look at the world of heaven, rapture or tranquil, you can very well imagine the appearance would be bright, nature would be uplifting. When you are bright, when you are uplifting, that kind of a world would have a positive influence. That positive influence basically make you happy, make you cheerful. Wherever you go, you are bringing a lot of fresh energy. You people are asking, यार ये बंदा कब आ रहा है party में? When the party, when that person is arriving, because they know that person will make them cheerful. That will create positive thought and action in your life. Ultimately, it will result in positive effect in the form of latent and ultimately in the form of manifestation, right? So this is the concept of 10 factors of life. Now, I hope it's clear. Please go again and again. If you really want to understand this concept, I would suggest read lectures on Lotus Sutra by Sensei Dr. Daisaku Ikeda. I must have read it at least 5-10 times to able to make this in the form of a table, because now I understand this concept. By the way, this is a concept which we recite daily, morning and evening in Gongyo. These 10 factors of life. In the first half of our Gongyo, in the end, when we say Nyoze So, Nyoze Sho, Nyoze Tai, Nyoze Riki, if you go back, you will see the translation of that in the end of the Gongyo book. At that point of time, it is talking about these 10 factors of life only. Nyoze So, Nyoze Sho, Nyoze Tai, Nyoze Riki, Nyoze Sa, Nyoze. So all this is talking about the 10 factors of life only. So this is such a important concept that we have incorporated this concept in our daily Gongyo as well. Such a beautiful concept. Now you will understand the consistency, the appearance, nature. If somebody asks you what are the 10 factors of life, you need not to memorize it. You can visualize any of the world and start thinking from that world what the appearance of that world would be, what the nature of that world would be, how that entity would be, how that entity will create a power. That power will create what influence. That influence result in what kind of a cause. That cause through the relation of cause and effect will result in a latent effect. That latent effect will ultimately get manifested when the right condition comes up. And these are consistent from beginning till end. It will not get disrupted at any point of time, right? Now, so we will come to this, but ultimately idea is that basically you think of it like that from the permutation. Now let's look at, I'll tell you one more example. Yeah, so think of it like that. How many places can come here? 10 worlds. There is a moment. At any moment, any of the 10 worlds can get manifested, and there is a mutual possession of 10 worlds. That means every world contains every other 9 worlds as well, and every world can have 10 factors of life. Ultimately, every movement can have 1,000 possibilities or 1,000 pathways. Think of it from the point of view of pathways. Correct? Think of it like a tree. कि यार 1,000 possibilities हैं. यहाँ पे हेल हो सकता है, फिर हेल हो सकता है, और फिर वो आपका 10 factors of life में appearance में जा सकता है. Movement to movement, because it's a very tiny amount of time. So that's how it is. It can be hell, it can be heaven, it can be power. Correct? So depending on the permutation and combination, what Tiantai said that at any moment of time there are 3,000 possibilities. Nichiren Daishonin understood it and then embodied that concept in the form of a Gohonzon. He used the principle of that in the form of a Gohonzon. We will talk about in the next topic. However, the fundamental is that movement at any moment of time, 10 worlds, mutual possession of 10 worlds and 10 factors of life. 10 factors of life we have talked in detail. 10 worlds and mutual possession of 10 worlds we have talked in brief. If you want to understand this concept, I would suggest go to my video. I'll put that link in the description. However, 10 worlds is nothing but the life state where we can be. It can be from hell to Buddhahood, and every world contains other 9 worlds plus themselves as well. So ultimately 10 worlds, and every world has its own 10 factors of life. Now we're still missing the number 3, and this is where it becomes very interesting, right? So अभी तक हमने ये देखा कि 10 वर्ल्ड्स होते हैं, म्यूचुअल पोजेशन ऑफ 10 वर्ल्ड्स होता है, और 10 फैक्टर्स ऑफ लाइफ होती है. तो इसेंशली अभी तक हम ये देख रहे हैं कि किस किस तरह का लाइफ स्टेट होता है, और जो वो लाइफ स्टेट होता है उस लाइफ स्टेट की क्या क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होती हैं. करेक्ट. तो लाइफ स्टेट क्या होता है वो बता रहे हैं 10 वर्ल्ड्स. वो लाइफ स्टेट किस तरीके से अपने अंदर बाकी लाइफ स्टेट को रखता है वो बता रहा है म्यूचुअल पोजेशन ऑफ 10 वर्ल्ड्स. तो यहाँ तक हमने बात किया लाइफ स्टेट का, और जो 10 फैक्टर्स ऑफ लाइफ है वो बताता है कि ये जो लाइफ स्टेट है, ये लाइफ स्टेट की क्या क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होती हैं. करेक्ट. अब हमें ये समझना है कि भाई कोई भी लाइफ स्टेट है और उस लाइफ स्टेट की कोई भी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं, वो लाइफ स्टेट और वो लाइफ स्टेट की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स मैनिफेस्ट करेगा कौन? करेक्ट. कोई तो लिविंग बीइंग करेगा, कोई तो एग्जिस्टेंस उसको मैनिफेस्ट करेगा. अब वो जो मैनिफेस्ट करता है इन पूरे लाइफ स्टेट को और उसके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स को, वो मैनिफेस्टेशन 3 तरह से एग्जिस्टेंस होती है वो कर सकती हैं. एंड दैट्स हाउ इसको बोलते हैं 3 realms ऑफ एग्जिस्टेंस. ठीक है. बेसिकली अगर कोई हेल एक लाइफ स्टेट है, वो लाइफ स्टेट अपने अंदर बाकी 9 वर्ल्ड्स को भी रखता है और ख़ुद को भी रखता है, तो इस तरीके से 10 into 10 आ गया. वो जो हेल एक लाइफ स्टेट है उसके अपने फैक्टर्स होते हैं, उस हिसाब से 10 into 10 into 10,000 आ गया. अब ये जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स और लाइफ स्टेट है, अब ये किसी ना किसी को मैनिफेस्ट करनी पड़ेगी. अब ये मैनिफेस्ट करेगा कौन? ये मैनिफेस्ट 3 तरह की एग्जिस्टेंस कर सकती हैं. वो जो 3 तरह की एग्जिस्टेंस इसको मैनिफेस्ट कर सकती हैं उनके नाम हैं, एक है आपका realm ऑफ 5 कंपोनेंट्स, एक है realm ऑफ लिविंग बीइंग्स, एक है realm ऑफ द इन्वायरमेंट. तो आप ये realm वर्ड से अगर कंफ्यूज हो रहे हो तो ये realm को आप ऐसा मान लो कि आप पॉसिबिलिटी मान लो, या फिर इसको आप एग्जिस्टेंस मान लो कि एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ 5 कंपोनेंट इसको मैनिफेस्ट करेगा, या एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ लिविंग बीइंग इसको मैनिफेस्ट करेगा, या एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ इन्वायरमेंट करेगा. ठीक है. अब ये है क्या चीज़, ये एक बार मैं आपको इतना सिंपल तरीके समझाऊंगा कि आप लाइफ में कभी भूलोगे ही नहीं. ठीक है. अभी बेसिकली ये जो 10,000 टाइप का पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ लाइफ स्टेट है उसको मैनिफेस्ट मैं आपको बताता हूँ. या तो कोई इंडिविजुअल करेगा, बराबर, या तो कोई कम्युनिटी करेगी. करेक्ट. या तो कोई आपका इन्वायरमेंट करेगा. अब इसका मतलब क्या है? अब मैं एक इंडिविजुअल हूँ, मेरी खुद की एक पर्सनैलिटी है, एक लाइफ स्टेट है, वो लाइफ स्टेट को मैनिफेस्ट मैं एक इंडिविजुअल तरीके से कर सकता हूँ. एक इंडिविजुअल, वो इंडिविजुअल क्या है? वो इंडिविजुअल की खुद की फॉर्म है, वो उसकी खुद की परसेप्शन है, उसका खुद का कॉन्सेप्शन है, वॉल्यूशन है, कॉन्शियसनेस है. तो वो जो एक हेल म्यूचुअल पोजेशन ऑफ 10 वर्ल्ड और 10 फैक्टर्स ऑफ लाइफ का एक पर्टिकुलर कॉम्बिनेशन है, उसको मैं एज एन इंडिविजुअल, मैं इंडिविजुअल का खुद का एक फॉर्म है, मेरा खुद का एक परसीव करने की कैपेबिलिटी है, उसको समझने की कैसे कैपेबिलिटी है, उसके बेस पर मैं एक्शन लेने की मेरी कैपेबिलिटी है, और उसके बेसिस पर मेरा कॉन्शियसनेस है. राइट. ये 5 कंपोनेंट मिलके मेरे को बनाते हैं. वो कंपोनेंट से बेसिस पर मैं एक इंडिविजुअल हूँ, वो इंडिविजुअल उसको मैनिफेस्ट करके देगा. नाउ हेयर थिंग्स बिकम इंटरेस्टिंग. इंडिविजुअल किस तरीके से काम कर रहा है वो तो अपने आप में उसकी एक पर्सनैलिटी है, बट किस तरीके से ग्रुप ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स बिहेव करते हैं वो भी अपने आप में एक पर्सनैलिटी है. करेक्ट. अगर मान लो मैं एक इंडिविजुअल हूँ और मैं एक मेरा ग्रुप है स्कूल फ्रेंड्स के सर्कल का, एक मेरा ग्रुप है कॉलेज फ्रेंड्स के सर्कल का, एक मेरा ग्रुप है सोसाइटी के फ्रेंड्स का, और एक मेरा ग्रुप है ऑफिस के फ्रेंड्स का. तो ये जो कलेक्टिव ग्रुप बनेगा, ये ग्रुप का अपना एक पर्सनैलिटी होगा, इसका अपना एक पर्सनैलिटी होगा, हर एक ग्रुप का अपना अपना एक पर्सनैलिटी होगा। एग्रीड? आप अपने कॉलेज के फ्रेंड से किस तरीके से बात करते हो, या जब कॉलेज के फ्रेंड्स आपस में मिलते हैं तो हो सकता है इंडिविजुअली वो कैसे भी हो, बट वो कलेक्टिवली किस तरीके से काम कर रहे हैं, वो उनका एक अपना डीएनए बन रहा है, उनका अपना एक पर्सनैलिटी बन रहा है, और वो पर्सनैलिटी के थ्रू उसको मैनिफेस्ट कर रहे हैं। दैट्स द रीज़न। मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ। जब हम कॉलेज में थे, फर्स्ट ईयर में कॉलेज में गया, तो रैगिंग बहुत होती है इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस के अंदर, एटलीस्ट हमारे टाइम में होती थी। बट आप गौर करना, रैगिंग करने के लिए जब कभी भी सीनियर्स आते हैं, वो कभी इंडिविजुअल नहीं आते, ठीक है, वो हमेशा ग्रुप में आते हैं। क्यों आते हैं ग्रुप में? इंडिविजुअल बेसिकली द वे इंडिविजुअल विल बिहेव वुड बी वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द वे द पर्सन विल बिहेव इन अ ग्रुप। क्योंकि वो, दैट्स वाई वी से कि वुल्फ्स और डॉग्स ऑलवेज हंट इन अ पैक। जब वो ग्रुप में डॉग्स आ जाते हैं या जब ग्रुप में लोग आ जाते हैं, तो उनका जो बिहेवियर है डोमिनेशन करने का, एनिमैलिटी लाने का, या फिर ओवरऑल इंजॉय करने का, द वे दे बिहेव, वो टोटली डिफरेंट होता है जब वो इंडिविजुअल वे में रिएक्ट कर रहे होते हैं, राइट? दैट्स द रीज़न वो जो कम्युनिटी है, जो ग्रुप है, राइट, इंडिविजुअल अपने आप में एक एग्जिस्टेंस है, उस तरीके से वो उसको मैनिफेस्ट करता है। सिमिलरली जब आपका लोग होते हैं ग्रुप के अंदर, तो वो ग्रुप की अपनी पर्सनैलिटी होती है, उसके चलते वो ऐसे उस तरीके से वो बिहेव करते हैं, तो उस तरीके से भी वो मैनिफेस्ट कर सकते हैं इस कॉन्सेप्ट को। थर्ड है, जब आप किसी पर्टिकुलर इन्वायरमेंट में होते हो, वो पर्टिकुलर इन्वायरमेंट का या उस सोसाइटी का या उस सिटी का, फॉर दैट मैटर, अपना खुद का एक डीएनए होता है, खुद की एक पर्सनैलिटी होती है। इट्स नॉट अ लिविंग बीइंग, think of it like that. Individual is a living being. Individual has its own blood, flesh, heart, everything, you can understand. But now you understand कि वो group अपने आप में कोई living being नहीं है, but group has its own personality, and that personality get manifested, right? That's the reason हमेशा बोला जाता है गैंग आ रहा है। एक गैंग क्यों बोला जाता है? क्योंकि वो गैंग is basically made of people, and that people, when they are in a gang, when they are in a group, that's how they are executing, that's how they are manifesting a particular characteristics, correct? Similarly, अगर आप उसको और एक्सटेंड कर दो, तो थिंक ऑफ इट लाइक दैट, हर एक सिटी अपने आप में एक लिविंग बीइंग है, हर एक कंट्री अपने आप में एक लिविंग बीइंग है, करेक्ट? नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट सिटी लेवल फर्स्ट, देन वी विल टॉक अबाउट कंट्री लेवल। तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई एम born and brought up in Delhi. Then I worked in multiple geographies of India. I worked in Odisha. I stayed in Bangalore. I stayed in Gujarat. I stayed for some time in Kolkata. Just to name a few. I stayed in Northeast Guwahati for some time as well. Now, if you move from one city to another, have you noticed that every city, the way city behaves, right, is totally different? I stayed in Mumbai also. So the way Mumbai behaves, or the characteristics of Mumbai as a living being, as an existence, is totally different from Delhi, correct? The way I behave when I go to Delhi is totally different from when I go to Mumbai, correct? That's exactly the meaning of the existence. It's not the living being, but it's a culmination or aggregation of all the people and all the life and individuals' life. When they get combined in a group, the way they behave is totally different. And when, as an extension, the city, the land where you are living, the way that it behaves is also totally different. The way city Delhi behaves is totally different than Kolkata, and then it's totally different from Surat or Mumbai for that matter. Forget about the city. The part of the city, the way they behave are also very different. So that is a kind of the concept it's talking about. 3000 realms in a single moment of life is nothing but a life state. The life state has a lot of potential. It has its own characteristics, and those potential and that characteristics has to be manifested. The manifestation of those characteristics happens either through individual, or through a group of individual or community, or through the city or the land where you are living. That is the meaning of realm of 5 components, which is nothing but individual, realm of living being, which is like a community or collective behavior of individuals, and realm of environment, which is nothing but physical surrounding reflecting and influencing the state of life. And that's the reason, if you think about it, the importance of 3000 realms in a single moment of life is such an important concept that not just goes on, which was inscribed based on taking inspiration from 3000 realms in a single moment of life concept, but the first major treatise which Nichiren Daishonin wrote was Risho and Kokuron on establishing the correct teaching for the peace of the land, which was also actually based on the concept of 3000 realms in a single moment of life only. Ultimately, if the Nichiren Daishonin understood that, the way that life state get manifested, or the way the karma is getting is created through these three existences, and this has a major impact in terms of how the city is behaving. Ultimately, it influences the person can also influence the city, but it's all about the who is influencing whom and to what extent. And that's the reason Nichiren Daishonin wrote Risho and Kokuron as the first treatise to help to get and to have a dialogue, to get the authority on his side, so that it can be implemented throughout the land. Because when the land gets pure, when the land start doing the right manifestation, everything will fall in the place, right? So such an importance of 3000 realms in a single moment of life is this concept is. I hope you are able to understand this concept, right? Now, this basically means that how to manifest this concept in our day-to-day life. Till now, you understood that this is a concept where we are able to manifest. It basically means interconnectedness of each of the possibility. If I have a bad mood, that will ultimately impact my environment, or other way around. If the environment is in a bad mood, or environment is something very grim, ultimately it will impact me. Now it is up to me, who is impacting whom to what extent. The other idea is change in the life state. So if I start taking the responsibility of my life state, I know the concept of 10 worlds, I know the mutual possession of 10 worlds, I know what kind of a karma based on the 10 factors of life each of the world would create. If I start working on those elements and then manifesting it, I'll be able to turn around and change my life state as well. Correct? And ultimately it means that if I make a determination at any single moment of life that, hey, I want to change this particular thing, and I am 100% determined to do that, then that thing will start getting manifested, right? By the way, I'll give you one more example that ultimately you would have observed many times that people come up and say that, मैंने cigarette पीना छोड़ दिया है, मैंने शराब पीना छोड़ दिया है. But if you look at the history of what the trigger based on which they have stopped smoking or drinking, you would invariably realize that many a time they have taken a call at one single moment of life. In a sense, if somebody has left smoking cigarette, they would have taken a decision in a single moment कि नहीं, मैं आज के बाद नहीं पीऊँगा, आज के बाद मुझे नहीं करना है ये. Instead of not like, हाँ मैं आज कर रहा हूँ, थोड़ा थोड़ा करके छोड़ूंगा, वो कभी नहीं छोड़ पाते हैं, right? Similarly, if you make a determination that no, from today onwards, I'm going to chant and make this land a land of Buddha. And that determination you take in front of the Gohonzon when you're chanting Namyo or Rengekyo. At that point of time, you are merging your life with the life of the universe and taking with all the determination, with all the 3000 realms, you are condensing in that moment and making the right decision. And that's how you are able to manifest this concept of 3000 realms in a single moment of life. Very important, very pivotal concept, at least in my life, when I started making the right decisions and able to, understand the true aspect of all phenomena, how the things are working and why the things are working in such a fashion. So in conclusion, summary of key teachings about 3000 realms in a single moment of life. It talks about the interconnectedness and the infinite potential within each moment. This is a concept which gives you, empower you, which gives you hope, which gives you lot of power that you have the potential and you can actually manifest it. And when you start understanding and apply this teaching in your daily life, you will start seeing experiences one after the another in your life. So this is it from my side for this. Thank you so much. Please visit nichirengpt.com where all the summaries have been uploaded, where you can go and keep on reading it. I have created quiz as well, and these videos will also be published there only. And ultimately, I'll be coming up with multiple features to make sure you keep on understanding. This is a single person effort. I'm sure you will really appreciate, and looking forward to advising, getting advice from you people and interacting all of you. Thank you so much.